All right, guys, what's going on? I'm back. Welcome back to the prep series. Missed a week, skipped a week, lost out on a week. Caught a nasty virus last weekend, and so lost a couple days in terms of not being able to eat any food. Wasn't really able to hold anything down for a couple days. Um, at the time, it's a major bummer. Seems like it's the end of the world, but um, here we are a week or a little more later, and everything has bounced back to where it was. If anything, a lot of times I've seen this. I've said this a bunch of times to clients, and seeing it with myself. A lot of times, as long as you're on a good schedule, timeline wise, and you get sick, sometimes it kind of pushes you forward a little bit, conditioning wise. Has you losing weight a little bit sooner than you otherwise would have. So that was the idea all along. If you guys have followed the prep, the idea was to start with plenty of time, stay at a pace where I'm ahead of schedule. And so that's what we were doing. And I think now I'm even more so. I'm definitely in a really good spot. Quite a bit has changed since the last time I did a vlog. So diet has changed quite a bit. Cardio has moved quite a bit. I think the last time I did one of these, I was doing 30 minutes of cardio. Right now I'm doing 45 minutes. I've brought my step count separate of the cardio up to 12,000 a day. And then I checked in and spoke with my coach this morning, and this is the most recent diet update. And so I'm feeling good. I'm definitely feeling the prep more than I mentioned earlier on in the series. Coming out of being sick is when the prep really started to hit me in terms of I had a couple days where physical fatigue was crazy, and I think it was just my body still trying to come back from being sick. I had a couple bad nights of sleep, which at this point you'll really notice and you'll really feel it. I have used Retatrutide throughout, and I've kept the dose low. And then recently I've had just almost no appetite. So I've taken 4 or 5 days off from it, and I still don't notice. I mean, it's basically like a week-long half-life. They've created it so that you really only have to administer it once a week. So I am gonna cool it on that for a couple more days, and I kind of want my hunger to settle in a little bit, and then I can kind of recalibrate the dose. I had brought it up to basically 300 micrograms per day, which is a little more than 2 milligrams per week. And I think I'll probably go back to something like 100 or 150 micrograms per day, which will put me like right around 1 milligram a week. I hear of people taking much more, and I just don't think I need that much. I still have like no interest in food, even with how low the diet is. So it's more so now just on and off, and whether or not my sleep is good to where I feel physical fatigue. But past couple days, training and everything has been good. Sleep has been good, so I've bounced back pretty nicely. And couple other updates. So if I'm gonna be honest with you guys, right now I would be about 9 weeks out from the goal show that I had, which is Florida State. Um, Talking with my coach and seeing with where I am conditioning wise, we both think it's realistic to shoot for the Dexter Jackson show, which was 2 weeks before that. And so I have that in mind. I have like an Airbnb booked out there. I could cancel it if I don't feel like I'm going to be ready, or my coach doesn't feel like I'm going to be ready, but I think I'm looking pretty good for that. And then the idea there would be, if I'm ready earlier than scheduled originally, instead of trying to hold that conditioning or even like at being at the risk of kind of like losing some of the physique, I might as well just get on stage and go do it. And so, again, the idea is if I win the overall at a regional show, I'm going to go to North Americans. From the Dexter Jackson show, North Americans is 4 weeks later. So if I can go and win Dexter, that will give me 4 weeks to kind of refine the look. Um, it's not too long of a gap, but I probably wouldn't want to go any longer in between shows. Um, if I need to be or want to be a little bit sharper for North Americans, that's enough time to do so. If the conditioning is spot on and maybe I'm a little overly depleted, that's enough time to fill it back out. So I like that timeline. If I can get there and pull off a win, you never know who's going to show up. But I think regardless of placing or who shows up, I'm on pace to be my best ever there if I so choose to be. So um, we'll see. We'll see how it continues to progress. Also, another update. I lied to you guys. Talked earlier in this series that I was going to go the entire contest prep without using Trenbolone, and I lied. I got to a point where I just feel like, man, I know everyone else is using it. Anyone else that I'm going to go against is using it. I don't want to feel like I've done everything that I possibly could to be my best during this contest prep and then leave something like that on the table. And, you know, in the past, it's really compromised my sleep, which I think eventually will make your look worse if you're not sleeping. And so the compromise, I spoke about this with Compton, my coach, spoke about this with Kelsey, my fiance. I did some research in terms of listening to podcasts and looking at different data. And whether or not it's an effective bodybuilding dose is one thing, but it seems like there are dosing totals for trenbolone acetate that are much, much lower than conventional wisdom that would bring about results. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying 5 milligrams of trenbolone acetate a day, 35 milligrams a week. Um, and we'll see. My sleep has been totally unaffected by it. I do think it's brought out a little bit of a different look, and I can feel a little bit of like training aggression, even when I'm feeling pretty physically fatigued. I can still pull it out of me. And so I'm gonna leave that there for now. Um, I am going to be testing out a sleep aid. I'm not going to talk about which one because I don't want to promote people using something that might not make sense for them. It is a prescription drug that's used for sleep. I'm going to be trying it. If that ends up being great for me and really enhances or allows me to continue to sleep in prep, I may consider upping the dose to something like 10 milligrams per day, 70 milligrams per week, but I won't go beyond that. I don't think. I don't think there's really any need. And so I'll leave an update here. This is what the current cycle is. And that's pretty much everything. I'm in a good spot. I've been sticking with the bro split training wise. And that's really all that I have in terms of an update. You guys will see. I think they'll probably be playing throughout this voiceover, but I went and trained back today. I had some back, some biceps, and rear delts. Didn't film either of the smaller body parts, but um, as part of as part of another update that I've been experimenting with, I've been putting my gear in my biceps, which is something I've never done before. I've never done any bicep shots because they have freaked me out. The idea of doing that has freaked me out. But a couple times a week, I will divvy up my, gear total into 2 even shots, or 4 even shots, I guess, actually. And I'll put some in each bicep head on each side. And then, like, so today was one of those days. I'll go train back and biceps. And then Thursday, I have an arm day. And so I'll do it prior to that as well. And it's been good. I mean, especially getting sick and losing so much fluid. In years past, my arms would have been the first thing to go. My arms would have looked like noodles. Um, After that. And my arms actually were like one of the most unaffected things by it. So I don't know if there's something to it or not. I'm not exactly doing site enhancement oil. I'm just putting my gear there. But I think staying up on it in terms of doing it a couple times a week, there's going to be some localized inflammation there. I think it's worth continuing for now. Just been using like a really small, I forget what I'm using. I think a 29 gauge half-inch needle. So the oil doesn't move. It's difficult to move through it. But that needle is so small, I don't really feel it, and it doesn't leave much like bruising or soreness. So I'm going to continue with it. And that's really everything. Just trying to stay positive, especially coming out of being sick like that. I have to remember that I'm lucky to be healthy and lucky to be able to do this, lucky to be on a good schedule and still feel like I'm in a good place to bring a physique that I'm proud of. And so I'm going to try and remain in that state of mind in terms of just enjoying the process, feeling a lot of gratitude about it. Like I said, my sleep has still been good, which is a big thing for me during prep. And so that's everything. 9, possibly 7 weeks out. And and that's all. I'll update you guys next week.